You probably know that sugar isn't great for you, but what if I told you that it might actually fuel the growth of cancer, not just through weight gain or diabetes, but through deep, silent inflammation in your body? My name is Rizwana Chowdhury, an advanced nurse practitioner here in the UK, and welcome to Three Things About. Today, we are exploring the link between sugar and cancer through the lens of inflammation and gut health, revealing how everyday eating habits can quietly increase our risk, backed by UK and global research. So let's get into it. Let's be clear on what we are covering today so you know exactly what to expect. Number one, how does sugar increase cancer risk, and is it more than just weight gain? Number two, what role does gut health and inflammation play in that link? And number three, and most importantly, what can we do today to reduce our cancer risk that is realistic and evidence-based? One of the core drivers behind most chronic diseases, including cancer, is chronic low-grade inflammation. And this is what I've seen in practice consistently. Now, here's the key point. Inflammation is strongly linked to high sugar diets, and not just the obvious type like the chocolates and pastries that we enjoy, but the hidden and artificial sugars found in everyday food that can be even more damaging. Every time we consume sugar in any form causes a spike in our blood glucose. The speed and the size of the spike varies. For example, natural sugars like fruit causes a more gradual spike in blood glucose, especially when paired with fiber, which is good because we do need blood glucose to function. It's our primary source of energy. But ultra processed sugars, like those found in sweetened cereals or flavored yogurts, cause sharp spikes in our blood glucose. And the problem comes when those sharp spikes become too frequent, too sharp, and from the wrong types of sugar. Those repeated spikes activate pro-inflammatory pathways like nuclear factor kappa B or NF kappa B that over time can indirectly damage DNA. These constant sugar surges trigger our immune system again and again, and eventually it creates a pro-inflammatory environment, one in which cancer cells are more likely to grow, mutate, and survive. The research is very clear. High glycemic diets increase the risk of colon, breast, and pancreatic cancers, even if your weight is controlled, meaning you could be of a healthy weight and still increase your risk if your diet is high in sugar. So it's not just about obesity or diabetes, the conditions we already know increases the risk of cancer. This is about sugar and how it quietly drives inflammation and cancer from the inside out. So what role do gut health and inflammation really play in that link? Well, it's becoming increasingly clear that the cancer sugar link goes far beyond just being overweight. In fact, here's something most people don't know, and it's important. Some cancer cells are so dependent on sugar, it can trigger the body to produce more. Not within the cancer cells themselves, but through processes like gluconeogenesis in the liver. That means even if you're cutting out sugar, cancer cells can reprogram metabolism to keep themselves growing. The good news, this only happens in a body that's already inflamed, and that inflammatory environment is most often created by diets high in ultra-processed foods and low in fiber. That makes the case even stronger to cut back on added sugars and to stabilize blood glucose, not just to lose weight, but to reduce that internal environment where cancer cells thrive. Now let's bring it back to something we often overlook, our gut health. Around 70% of our immune system lives in our gut. So if our gut is healthy, it helps regulate inflammation and protects us from chronic diseases like cancer. To be clear, not all gut bacteria are bad. In fact, we rely on a diverse range of beneficial bacteria to digest food, absorb nutrients, and regulate immune responses. But when our diet is high in refined and added sugars, it feeds the wrong type of bacteria. And over time, this causes an imbalance in our gut, known as dysbiosis. And here's where the problem starts. Dysbiosis can damage the gut lining, allowing inflammatory compounds like lipopolysaccharides or LPS to pass into the bloodstream. I've covered this in another video in far more detail. If you want to dive deeper, I'll link it below. Elevated LPS is called metabolic endotoxemia, and it's been directly linked to an increased risk of obesity, insulin resistance, and certain cancers. So, in short, an unhealthy gut can quietly fuel chronic inflammation throughout the body, allowing cancer cells to grow, survive, and escape detection from our immune system. And again, it's not about how much sugar we eat, but how consistently we eat it and how little fiber we are getting to balance it. Fiber helps feed our good bacteria and keeps our gut lining strong. So, what can we do today to realistically reduce our risk of cancer? Well, we need to prioritize low glycemic whole carbohydrates. That means swapping out foods like white rice, crisps, or white bread, and replacing them with options like sweet potato, oats, or lentils. These are low GI foods that release energy slowly and helps us avoid sharp spikes in our blood glucose, which is absolutely essential in reducing inflammation and in turn reducing cancer risk. And don't worry, it's not about cutting everything out or never enjoying food, but to find like for like swaps you can actually enjoy. One simple way to get going is to keep a food diary for 1 week and then just highlight all the sugary foods or highly processed foods and swap out one and try to keep to that change for a few weeks. Once that feels normal, just make another swap, because remember, this isn't a crash diet, this is life-changing. So you want slow, realistic goals and steps that will actually stick. And these are the ones that actually make the difference in the end. Number 2, we need to focus on rebuilding gut health through anti-inflammatory foods. And this is so important because our gut microbiome has so much to do with our immune system and our body's inflammatory response. One of the best ways to support our gut is through daily fiber, and mainly from whole foods. Fermented foods is very good. Kimchi, sauerkraut also helps restore balance. And here's something I really want to highlight, which I also do in practice. When I talk about prebiotics or probiotics, I don't mean any little sugary drinks that you see advertised on TV. I mean real food, like leeks, onion, garlic, asparagus, bananas, which are all very naturally high in prebiotics and can help grow and nourish the good bacteria in our gut. The truth is, there's a lot about the gut microbiome we just don't know, and the research continues to evolve every year. But what we do know is this: a diverse, fiber-rich diet supports the kind of gut environment that keeps inflammation low and our immune function strong. So even if the science isn't 100% settled yet, it's absolutely worth implementing what we already know. And finally, we need to watch out for hidden sugars, even in foods labeled as healthy. Let's take examples like protein bars or low-fat yogurt or smoothies tend to have more sugar per serving than you would expect. Now, to be fair, these snacks have their place. For example, if you were out hiking or needed quick energy during a long shift, these snacks can be useful. The problem is not the occasional use, it's when these high sugar options become part of our everyday habits, and that's when the long-term risk builds. So here's a very practical piece of advice I always share. Learn to read labels. Start by getting familiar with the hidden names for sugar. Look for food ingredients that end with OSE, like dextrose or maltose or sucrose. These are all forms of sugar that spikes our blood glucose quickly. Also watch out for concentrates and syrups and anything listed early on in the ingredients list, because ingredients are listed by quantity and sugar near the top usually means a lot. According to the NHS, adults should be limiting free sugars to 30 grams per day, and that's not a lot at all. One healthy snack or drink could tip you over the limit. And I mean healthy. Most people in the UK are eating double without realizing it, and it's very easy to do without reading labels. So again, this isn't about being perfect or restrictive. It's about being aware so you can make small adjustments, because it does add up, and these small changes can make real differences in our long-term health. So let's recap. Sugar and cancer aren't just linked, they are deeply intertwined through inflammation. But the important thing to remember is we are not powerless. Simple changes like switching what we eat, improving our gut health, and being aware of hidden sugars can help with our body's natural defenses. If you found this to be helpful, let me know in the comments below, and feel free to share it with someone you feel might benefit. Let's stay well, let's stay informed, and protect the body, the only temple we've got. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I actually feel that with the with the names of hidden sugar,